Welcome back to Brothers Talking Sports. I'm your host, Oscar, here with my co-host, Ezra, today. As you can see, it's only me on the screen. Ezra, say hello to everybody.
Hi, guys.
All right, so Ezra's away. He's in the buttfuck nowhere.
Hey.
Shay and Max are... don't say hey. You know you're in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Shay and Max are not here this week. They both went away. They left me to do all the chores. And Ezra has to help with the chores. How we doing today, Ez?
Not too bad. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Nothing new. Same stuff. All right. Let's start off with last night. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens go up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get your first thoughts on the game, being the special guest today.
I mean, I think everyone expected it to be as close as it was and as good of a game as it was, and it lived up to it. Spectacular game. Each team, I think, played well. Definitely a lot of things to improve going forward. I wanted to pick your brain right away on beginning of the game. I think it was the first drive. They got 3 flags for Baltimore's offensive line on the illegal formation. So pretty much how I could tell and see it as they were very strict on the offensive tackles not being in line with the belt of the center, I think it was. And for most offensive line splits, it's always been that way. Like, they've never been that close to the center. They've always been fanned out just a little bit. Did a rule change or something? What's going on?
I don't think since it's necessarily a rule change. It's the sense of the fact that they're enforcing it more. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they did not change the rule. I'm pretty sure the NFL just said, "Hey, listen, this is what we want to see this year. We want to see, these more calls," and they have this every year. The hip drop tackle is a new rule, but I don't think this is a new rule in the sense of the fact that they want to go out there and have them change. The way these tackles play, I don't understand why these tackles can't get a head start. I mean, they have to go up against some of these elite level pass rushers, and they have to protect the quarterback, and they're supposed to just go out there and do it now, even with a less disadvantage, right? They can't get a really head start at all. This is helping defense, which defense has not really had any help through the rule book in the past 20 years. So they're starting to get help. This is one of the ways they're getting help. So it will be better for defenses. And you could tell last night, I felt like the edge rushers were able to get a lot more off because and Staley was the one that was getting picked on most of the game. He was the one that's getting flagged for it. And we saw Chris Jones and Carl Loftus probably played in the middle a little bit, but he also plays on the outside, and where they were just able to kind of take advantage of it. So, yeah.
And it speaks a lot on the O-line of the Baltimore Ravens in how I think they're all brand new. But a lot to work there because Lamar pretty much was moving, scrambling, never really had a set pocket for most of the game.
You know what, Ez? I'm very glad you brought up the Lamar Jackson, because that was my only really talking point about this game, because I thought the Kansas City Chiefs did exactly what I thought they would. They're very explosive, really good football team on both sides of the ball, even more on offense now. They got even better on offense, which is insane to think of. But we're going to keep the Ravens aside for the rest of the podcast. We're going to talk about the Ravens, because this is where I'm going to be very critical of Lamar. You ready, TikTok? Here we go. Lamar Jackson is one of the most inaccurate passers in the NFL. When it comes to this guy passing the ball, down in, down out, he's one of the most inaccurate passers. Now, you could go and say, I think the best point to look at is that last drive, right? The last drive, it was check down, right, to get out of bounds, of course. And then we had the point where Lamar had to make some big boy throws. Okay, the one to Rashad Bateman down the sideline was, it was a tough throw, but it was a miss. It was a wild miss. But it was a good miss, because if you put it anywhere towards the right of that safety coming over the top, with the corner, right, it's a pick. So it's a good miss. Okay. Then you also have the next in the red zone, Isaiah Likely, you miss him in the corner, where if you threw that thing, lobbed it right to the corner, Isaiah Likely had the easiest touchdown of his life. So that's a miss. Yeah. And then
that almost got him injured too. You see that? He landed badly.
True. And then you have Zay Flowers wide open. Lamar Jackson completely misses him, and it came down to Lamar missed him. and that's why they lost. Lamar missed 2 big key throws, and then on third down, Isaiah Likely's toe was on the line, and that's a terrible thing to see for the Ravens because you had a great opportunity to win that game. Listen, Lamar is still an elite level quarterback because of his rushing ability and because of his decision making. Like, he doesn't make poor decisions; he makes really good decisions. But the inaccuracy,
and he didn't have an interception with 41 attempts too.
True, but if you look at the numbers and you look at the, he didn't really throw the ball very much downfield. It was very dink and dunk, and the Ravens have to get more explosive downfield if they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. They're going to go as far as Lamar Jackson can take them in his throwing ability because they're the best rushing attack team in the league. It's not even close. They go out there and they could rush for almost 200 yards a game because of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and that offensive line is spectacular. So Lamar Jackson's passing ability has to improve because it really hasn't improved very much since his rookie year, right? He obviously became a better passer and he's made better decisions, but he hasn't been able to go out there and make throws down in and down out like Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Those guys at that elite level can do that down in and down out. I have not seen that consistently from Lamar yet in year 6.
I got nothing to argue with about.
I wasn't trying to.
Well.
I wasn't trying to get you to argue. I was just like, I just had to get that point off. All right, Ez.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Every year we do our weekly preview and predictions. Usually Shay and Max are with me here, going on and talking about it. But they're not. Unfortunately, they're not. But that is going to bring up what we usually do. Each week, me, Shay, and Max, sometimes this week now Ezra, we're going to pick the games. We're going to pick each point. You'll get a point for them. And then we'll also get a upset and a lock. I don't know if Ezra remembers that, but now he does.
I do.
Normally we do trivia, but we have 15 games to cover, and I wanted to talk about last night's game too, so we really don't have time for trivia today because we're probably going to run pretty long in this podcast. So no trivia today. Normally we do have trivia. As our first game today is Green Bay versus Philly. Let's get your thoughts on this game.
I'm actually very excited. We do have a Friday night game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I think. Not on U.S. soil. It's going to be a pretty cool atmosphere to see the fans, the reaction. Same thing with the London game that they do, or Ireland, or wherever the hell it is in Europe. But Philly's favored. ESPN has it at 2.5. The over under 49.5. I expect another spectacular game. Not as good as last night, but similar. I am going to take Philly here. Let me go. Thinking of a school. As
I just need your pick. I don't need anything else.
Oh, perfect.
I really like Philly in this game. I think Philly has one of the most complete rosters in football. Then with the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, I think they all have some of the most complete rosters. This is one of them. Adding Saquon Barkley over the offseason. I'm really to see. This is the game tonight. This is the entire game. How will Philly pass the ball up against? How will Green Bay pass the ball up against this Philadelphia offense, right? The Philadelphia defense, Jesus. Green Bay, right? You got still unproven receivers, but they're young and they're improving, but they're still not proven, right? So we're trying to see tonight what Donovan Wicks, Christian Watson can do for the Green Bay Packers tonight. And this Philly defense is also pass defense is unproven. We know how good they are up front, right, with Jalen Carter and some of these guys in the front seven, but we don't know about the back half of this secondary, right? Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know if Darius Slay is playing tonight or not. All these guys are very much unproven. I'm pretty sure C.J. Gardner-Johnson is back. I could be wrong. I don't know if he's back in an Eagles uniform or he's still in Detroit. I'm not also sure on that. He can get that one looked up. But the Philly defense is also, the secondary is depleted. So tonight we'll see if Philly can go out there and play pass coverage on this Green Bay offense, because we know Jordan Love, what he did last year, I'm going to assume he continues that this year and continues this. But I'm going to take Philly tonight. I think Philly has the most complete roster, the more experienced quarterback, better defense. I think they're ready to go. But I think this is going to be an exciting game tonight for both these teams.
And to answer your question, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is in Philly.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
And ready.
So he's ready to go to
I think it's going to pretty much just come down to, can Green Bay keep up with Philly? Offensively, that is. Green Bay is very young, very, very talented, but can they step up to the plate in a big game?
Yeah, I think that's the real question tonight. This is going to be, hey, if the Packers go out there and they go match for match with Philly, and we watch Philly's secondary be a little weak, we're going to know that Green Bay is legit this year. And I want to see one of these where they have so many good receivers, the Packers, or so many like unproven receivers. I want one to step up tonight. I want one to take the ball and be like, I'm the guy for Green Bay. So I hope that happens tonight. Whoever it is, whether it's Watson, Wicks, whoever it is tonight, I hope one of them do it. All right, we move on. Pittsburgh versus Atlanta this week. This one's interesting. This one's in Atlanta. What do we got?
I'm going to take Atlanta here. I am very curious to see how Kirko Chains does down in Atlanta. I do think they're going to run the ball heavy on Bijan here. But in the air, I think they're going to be able to succeed compared to the struggles they've had. I don't know about the Steelers. It's still a big question mark out there with, can they produce offensively? They've been very slow. It's been very up and down. Russell Wilson is listed as questionable. I'm kind of curious to see what the Steelers do here.
This one's going to be interesting for the Pittsburgh Steelers because this is a new quarterback, right? We saw their disaster at quarterback last year. They made the playoffs all the way. TJ Watt was hurt most of the year last year, or some of the year last year, so he was not able to go for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's going to be interesting tonight in a couple days to see what Steelers can do. But the Atlanta Falcons, I think, are just the complete roster here. Adding Matthew Judon, Kirk Cousins, Justin Simmons. This is the most complete roster the Atlanta Falcons have. So they have everything. Their defense.
And they got Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. They did. Their defense just has a couple holes, but not something too much to worry about. I think it's really going to come down how Russell Wilson plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm going to take Atlanta. I'm going to take the more experienced quarterback and everything like that. So it's hard not to take Atlanta in this game. As if you had to pick,
it being in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to play. Not too hard to play in Atlanta.
I think it's harder to play in Pittsburgh if you're Atlanta.
True. True. As who's one player to watch for on the Pittsburgh Steelers this week?
I'm gonna go George Pickens.
That's probably the best answer because no Deontay Johnson. We want to see how this Pittsburgh offense will form without them. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll also be interesting to see.
We know he has the talent. The kid can ball,
of course.
But we'll see how he actually performs.
Yeah, true. All righty, kids. We move on. Buffalo versus Arizona this week. Two highly good quarterbacks here in Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. This one's in Arizona. Josh Allen is coming off.
Buffalo.
No, it's in Atlanta. Oh, it's in Buffalo. I'm sorry, dude. I'm looking at my screen and it has Atlanta at home. Arizona at home. Sorry. Buffalo is at home. Sorry about that. Buffalo's at home. This is a great game for the Buffalo Bills to start off with because this isn't one where you have to be in a dogfight each and every week. This is one where you can down out. You go make some plays up against the Arizona Cardinals because this roster still isn't complete. Jonathan Gannon's still not ready, with his full roster yet because this is his second year, so he's still trying to develop this team. But it'll be interesting to see what the Cardinals can do with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. It'll be really interesting to see how they play. Because if they start to click, this could be, him and DeAndre Hopkins 2.0, right? So we'll see what the Arizona Cardinals can bring, but I'm going to take Buffalo for multiple reasons. But what do you got?
Sorry about that. Just hiccuped. I'm going to take Buffalo. Not really much to go off of. They're one of the best teams in the league. Arizona's still not fully complete. I do think it'll be a little closer than people expect. It might still be, a one, maybe two score game, but high scoring, I would hope. I'm curious to see how Arizona's offense can play, if they can keep up with how dynamic the Buffalo Bills can be. But yeah, like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray, it's going to be very, very interesting. Trey McBride might have a good game, but again, we'll have to see how they play. And James Conner still in the backfield for Arizona. It's a decent score, just not like a Buffalo Bills level firepower.
The only thing I'm worried about with the Buffalo Bills is a lot of their skills guys, right? Their wide receivers were really young. Keon Coleman, Mac Hollins, Shakir as well. So that they're really young for the Buffalo Bills, and and also their secondary, right? They lost Jordan Poyer. They lost a couple other guys in their secondary. DeMar Hamlin will start his first game in Buffalo against Arizona this week. So since playing against the Bengals, so it's going to be really interesting to see what this Bills team can do in the back half of their safety and these wide receivers, because they're young after losing Diggs. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think the Bills are going to be completely fine, because I think they're going to rely heavily on this run game. All right, that's going to bring us to the next game. Oh, so you took Buffalo. Beautiful. All right, Tennessee and Chicago. In Chicago this week, Caleb Williams in the first game. Talk to us, Ez.
I'm taking my upset here. Give me Tennessee. I am going to pull the ESPN stat out of my ass. The last quarterback to win in his NFL debut after going 1-1 was, I think, David Carr in 2004. I think. Moral of the story, it's been a very, 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 very long time since a quarterback that went 1-1 started his first game and won. I don't think that will be Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for the Chicago Bears. I'm very curious to see how their offense will look, especially with all these, high-level receivers, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think DJ's the one, but, it's going to be interesting to see how they get these guys the ball each and every week. It's going to be very interesting to see for the Chicago Bears. Their defense, they got DeAndre Swift. They have a lot of pieces on this offense, and they added depth on defense as well. While the Tennessee Titans, adding Calvin Ridley over this offseason, adding Jamal Adams, adding a couple key pieces here and there. We're hoping that the Tennessee Titans can go out there and show us I don't know the Tennessee Titans, but what will Will Levis bring us? Because we saw Will Levis for a little bit last year. He came in probably about, week 5 or 6, and he started to play. And I really like to see what he's going to bring to the team, because this is a rookie. This is essentially second-year quarterback. This is a prove-it year for Will Levis. If he can go out there and develop and be a good quarterback, he'll be very long there in Tennessee, but we have no idea what we're going to get from Will Levis so far. He struggled in the second half of the year. This is his second year. New coach, though, so I'm not sure what Tennessee's going to bring. I'm pretty sure Brian Callahan's their coach, or some very close to that, is the Tennessee's coach. You could probably look it up. It's Brian something, I'm pretty sure, from the Bengals.
Let me look.
Jeffrey Simmons up front. They're a very good team up front, Tennessee Titans. So it'll be interesting to see.
And I kind of want to see, or I want to watch Will Levis prove that he can be a starting quarterback and he can stay as a top, 30 quarterback or 15. Even if he's an average, top 20 quarterback, he's in that 15 to 20 range, fine. But make the Titans go out and compete for a playoff spot. Will they make it? Probably not.
Yeah.
Do they have a chance? We'll see. You know what I mean?
I did take Chicago in this game. Ezra's taking his upset in Tennessee. I think Caleb Williams gets his first win here. I think he's going to be real exciting to watch this week. As we move on, the Tennessee Titans at Indianapolis this week. It's going to be really interesting to see here the Indianapolis Colts, because I think they're one of the teams this year that could really put the NFL on fire with Anthony Richardson. I love Anthony Richardson. I think he has all the abilities to be Cam Newton 2.0, to be even better than him because of his rushing ability and his throwing ability, how big this guy is and strong. I really like the Colts as a football team. I think they have everything that you need. They have the offensive line. I think they're a little weak at receiver with Pittman out there, but I think they're okay. They're going to survive each and every week. Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor's a great halfback they have. So Shane Steichen is an incredible coach they also have as well. So that's their core right there. Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson for the Indianapolis Colts. And Tennessee the Texans are coming off a huge year with C.J. Stroud. Going to the playoffs, winning a playoff game, right? So we're going to see what C.J. Stroud can really do this year. I think he's going to have a great year with Stephon Diggs and all those guys out there. As what he got.
Sorry, my ringer just went off.
No, you're good. I thought the dogs were barking for a sec. You're good.
No, that was a loud bang on my end. You kind of hit on all the points. Houston came off a dynamic year. Will C.J. Stroud be able to play as well and or better than he did last year? We're going to be able to see Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon are both in Houston. Tank Dell now moves to wide receiver 3, which is wild to me because I see him as almost like a Cooper Kupp level receiver when Cooper Kupp played very well before he got hurt. I'm going to take Houston.
Okay. This is my upset.
A very, very good game, in my opinion.
This is my upset this week right here. I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts over the Houston Texans. I think this is week 1. Now, week 1 probably tells you go with the more experienced quarterback, go with the more experienced team, go with the hotter team of last year. But I'm going to take Anthony Richardson. I really believe in this kid. I believed in him last year. I thought he was going to be, I was worried about his passing ability, and I still kind of am because you do see those inaccurate throws here and there. But this is his almost his first year, right? He got hurt for, I think, 5 or 6 games in, and Gardner Minshew came in. So I really want to see what Anthony Richardson could do for this team. And like I said, he played 1 year at college, so it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do this year. All right, Ez, we're moving on. Jacksonville at Miami this week. 2 teams that I think are of high value passing offense, both of them, between the Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars here. We'll start with the Jaguars, at least I will. Trevor Lawrence, losing Calvin Ridley, but gaining Brian Tomlinson and Christian Kirk, a lot of weapons over there. What's your thought on the Jacksonville Jaguars as?
I think they have nothing to lose in this game. You have Miami, who might be, well, I'm going to say not might be, but they are one of the more dynamic passing offenses in the league by far. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Raheem Mostert, might be one of the fastest running backs in the league. You have Devon Achane, again, a 1-2 crazy good punch at running back. Jalen Waddle, even Braxton Berrios. Nobody talks about Braxton Berrios. Like, he's a really good wide receiver 3 out there. Odell Beckham is out, but they do have Odell Beckham in Miami. I don't think Jacksonville will come out on top, but I also see them having absolutely nothing to lose and should come out guns a-blazing, ready to roll.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Miami Dolphins are going to be a little interesting. They lost Christian Wilkinson to Las Vegas, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do there. They also lost Robert Hunt, so they did lose a couple pieces on this team. But if you were also the Dolphins, you had the number one, I think very close to number 1 passing offense last year with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua. I just want to see the same thing this year, but I want to see them be able to, sustain this stuff, right? Week in and week out, I want to see them be able to sustain, these games, especially for Tua. I think Tua, this game's in Miami, so I'm not too worried about Tua playing this week. But when these games come to the future, and when you have to go into teams like Seattle, and you have to go up to KC, and you have to go up north, it's going to be a lot harder, right? Those games are going to be a lot harder because of the weather. I want to see how Tua handles this season, but this is a perfect weather game, perfect first game, I feel like, for Tua. against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm taking the Dolphins here. Are you you're taking Dolphins as well as?
I am. I don't think they're going to lose at home, especially a team like Jacksonville
Yeah.
that essentially can't really keep up with that Dolphins offense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Miami, how far they can go this year. All right, we move on to our second divisional game we're talking about here. We're talking about the Carolina Panthers going head-to-head up against the New Orleans Saints. What do we got?
I actually love this matchup. Two teams that seem to always kind of trade punches, go back and forth. And Carolina, we know, sucked last year, but I'm hoping and expecting a bounce back year a little bit from them. Bryce Young, hopefully, we'll see a little more development and not as bad of a year. And he didn't have a terrible season; he just struggled. And then on the other side of the ball, you have the Saints with. Pretty sure they are staying with Jameis Winston.
No, it's Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, you are very correct.
Okay.
Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Sati. My apologies.
Yes.
I'm going to take the Saints, play it safe, but I wouldn't really be surprised if it's a little closer than everyone expects, just because, again, Carolina could go out there and open some eyes. Not that I'm expecting them to, but they could. They do have a little more talent. They are a little more developed, and what's the word I'm looking for? More, not knowledgeable. Whatever, I forgot the word.
Listen, this game is going to be very interesting, I think, for both of these teams. I think some of these two teams, when it's all said and done this year, these two good teams could be at the bottom of the NFC, right? Carolina is still a young football team with Bryce Young. Losing Brian Burns to the Giants is tough for the Carolina. But I think what's even tougher for Carolina is this is a new head coach that just came in, right, this year. Again, they have another guy that, it's not. Who the hell was their coach last year? He was terrible. Why am I blanking, guys? Who was Carolina's coach last year?
Give me 2 seconds.
We're really bad at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. How can I not remember Carolina's coach last year? Because it was terrible. I think he was so bad. I literally forgot his name.
2023 Carolina Panthers head coach is Frank Reich.
Okay, Frank Wright. Okay, Frank Wright was their head coach. I couldn't remember when he got fired that year or the year after because God, he was. Oh, that's right. He came in that year and was terrible. I don't think they won very much until he left. So Carolina is a bad football team. They're going to struggle this year very much. So Deontay Johnson, adding him on the outside, hopefully will help them. Help Bryce Young's development. They also drafted a wide receiver. Adion Mitchell. Sorry, Adion Mitchell. They drafted as well. So hopefully Carolina can help him. But their offensive line is still shaky. Defense has a lot of holes, but Derek Brown and J.C. Horn hopefully can boost the players around them to play better. But I think the Saints have this one in the bag here. I think you would have them as well. Alrighty, we move on here, folks. To my favorite team, New York Giants, at home up against the Minnesota Vikings this week. This will be an interesting one for the most part. We're going to see what I'll start with the Giants. We're going to see what Daniel Jones can really do this season. Talking about them. We're going to be able to see how, he plays with Malik Neighbors and an improved offensive line. I think this is the first time really going to sit back and say, listen, Daniel Jones, this is on you this year. If you want to stay in New York, it's going to be up to you, right? So if you still want to play quarterback at the highest level, you have to do it. So we're going to see what Daniel Jones can do this year. Defensively, worries in the secondary. They just brought in Adoree Jackson. I'm not sure if he's going to play this week. He's probably ruled out. I don't know. Is he ruled out?
I'm looking now.
I don't know. I don't think he's ruled out, but I don't think we'll see him start this week just because he just joined the team a couple days ago. So worry about this secondary up against Minnesota's elite level receiver talent, but no Hawkinson and Jordan Addison is also questionable in this game. So it will be interesting to see enough what will happen with Jordan, with this Minnesota Vikings offense, with Sam Darnold and with Justin Jefferson. I'm not worried very much about their offense just because Jefferson had a rotating quarterback of bums last year, of Jared Hall and Nick Mullins, and he was still able to produce. So I'm not worried about the Minnesota Vikings in the sense of the fact that how good they're going to be this year. I think they're going to be a good team. Adding Aaron Jones helps. Also adding a pass rusher in Dallas Turner in the draft helps as well for Minnesota. So they are able to get help this year. So I think they'll be okay. It's going to also really depend on Sam Darnold and how he plays because he has the weapons. Hawkinson's out for a little bit, which is okay. They have a great offensive line. They just need that right quarterback, and maybe Sam Darnold did. J.J. McCarthy, of course, won't play this season. I'm going to take Minnesota here. I think Minnesota's just a better football team. It's going to be really tough to get pressure on Sam Darnold this week, even though the Giants have a great defensive line. Christian Dawson on the outside, two great tackles they have. So it's going to be really tough for the for the New York Giants to go out there and create pressure and give that secondary not a lot of time to cover. I think it's going to be really tough. So I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings this week.
So I'm agreeing. The Minnesota Vikings will probably win this football game. But checking the injury report for the Giants, the only notable defensive players that are questionable are Micah McFadden and Dane Belton.
Makes sense.
Agree. Unfortunately, I have to go to college out in the Midwest, and everyone here is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and they know I'm from New York and a Giants fan. So this one is going to suck. But
not if they beat them, though.
I don't have any hope. I think it's going to be a tough year for the Giants. I don't know if Daniel Jones has it in him. It's his job to lose. I do think he will lose it. I don't really have much hope, unfortunately. And I don't think anyone's going to stop how dynamic Justin Jefferson can be and how much firepower they offer on the offensive side of the football in the Minnesota Vikings offense.
I like it, so you can take Minnesota here and break my heart, as I also took Minnesota and broke my own heart by picking against the Giants. I hate picking against the Giants. I always do, but you have to do it. The Raiders head to L.A. Got a short little flight to go face the Los Angeles Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. This is going to be real interesting to see what, honestly, both these teams do. Second-year head coach Antonio Pierce, yes, he filled in for last year for the Raiders. It'll be interesting to see what the Raiders can do this year with Gardner Minshew. We know Aiden O'Connell will be the backup so far. He probably should be the backup the whole year. Gardner Minshew won the job in training camp, which is great for them. But it's going to be really interesting to see what this D-line could do. Adding Christian Wilkinson from Miami and having Max Crosby on the outside, we're going to be able to see what they can do. Also, we'll also be able to see what their offense could do, right? No Josh Jacobs anymore. You have Zaire White, who is their now starting running back. So it's going to be really interesting with Devontae. We're going to see how he's able to do in this new offense that it's essentially all new. No Josh Jacobs no more. Darren Waller's gone. I mean, I know he was gone last year, but this is a completely new, almost Vegas team. New quarterback, new coach, new team. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Devontae can do for this Raiders team. And looking on the other side, this is a completely new Chargers team, right? If we thought the Raiders were new, this is the newest team, the Chargers, right? So adding Jim Harbaugh as their head coach, right? Now you also add, new receivers almost everywhere for Justin Jefferson to throw to. He's got to throw to.
Justin Herbert to throw to.
What?
You said Justin Jefferson. It's
Justin my God. Herbert. Justin Herbert to throw. I was just talking about Justin Jefferson. I'm pronouncing names all wrong today.
You're good.
But it's going to be really interesting to see. He's got to throw to Joshua Palmer, Quinyon Johnson, Lane McConkey. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this Chargers offense will look like, especially now they have
Austin Eckler.
No, Austin Eckler's gone too. It's going to be completely new in the sense of the fact that scheme. I think they're going to be a lot of run the ball, defense heavy. With Khalil Mack and Justin and Joey Bosa in the front. With Derwin James. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this team can do. I think this team's going to be very good just because they're going to run the ball, play great defense, and I think that's how usually Jim Harbaugh's teams have been built. So I'm going to take the Chargers here as what he got.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to take the Chargers. I am curious to see Brock Bowers, I would say, is my player to watch for sure. I'm curious to see how he does in the NFL. He is listed as questionable for Sunday, not tonight. I think he will play. I'll double check that now.
He will. He definitely will.
Coach Antonio Pierce has stressed Bowers will be ready to go for week 1. Cool.
Wonderful.
Eliminated. Okay, whatever. I don't know if you got the chance to watch the Netflix series Receiver, but that whole culture is the best word to use. The whole culture in Vegas changed when Antonio Pierce took over. That is a completely different team, and I think Vegas could make some noise and finish second in their division.
It's a bold take.
I would go. Yeah, I'm gonna say that now, but we'll definitely see how it ends up. I'm going to take the Chargers week 1.
You're going to take the Chargers. All right. He was very high on Vegas, and then he took the Chargers, so I think that's very interesting. All right. We move on. On the screen, it will show probably flashback to 2014 when Seahawks played Denver because, honestly, there's no big stars in this game. Bo Nix will go up against a tough Seattle team. Week 1, they're in Seattle, so I think this is a tough game for Bo Nix to start off with as a Denver Bronco. Just because you got to head to Seattle, it's cold. I understand it's cold up in Colorado, but this is a team that's not really built for Bo Nix to win right now. Right, he's got to develop, and I don't know if I would have started Nix right away, but honestly, the quarterbacks you have aren't much better. And you're not going to win too many games this year, I don't think, because of just your roster. I think your roster is kind of depleted. You lose Jerry Jeudy. You lost Justin Jefferson. God damn it, Justin Simmons. If I say Justin Jefferson one more time, I'm just scared of him this week, man. I think
lazy.
Yeah, seriously. But this Seattle team is ready to go. This is also a new Seattle team as well. Getting the defensive coordinator as your head coach from Baltimore. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what the Seahawks can do this week. But this is the Seahawks game to lose. This is a good one to start off with. You got a rookie quarterback playing up against you. The Seahawks, they went out there and they didn't really do too much in the offseason. Just got a new head coach because Pete Carroll retired. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Seahawks can do with Geno Smith, if he can prove himself and sustain another contract. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I'll take the Seattle Seahawks this week.
I'm going to agree. Not really much to say besides the weather. It was pretty funny. You mentioned it's going to be cold in Seattle when it is the beginning of September and it's still going to be 70 degrees in Seattle.
Yeah,
usually it's still pretty rainy, but
yeah, it's probably going to be rainy.
Weather play a big factor.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Seattle. More experience. Bo Nix is a really tough place to go and play with the crowd in Seattle, how loud they get, and how well built that stadium is for noise. I expect Seattle to not make a playoff run, but make the playoffs. Are they going to be a high caliber top 10 team? Probably not, but they're definitely in that 15 to 10 range of teams in the NFL. Home game, huge advantage for Seattle.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I think this is one of the most boring games of the week. I know that Bo Nix is in this game, but I think this is just one of the games that I'm not going to be very tuned into this week, and understandable. But this is one of the games that I think it's just not very pleasing to me.
And before you move on, I did want to ask, because in my opinion, there's one other game that's a lot more boring. Did you skip over Cincinnati and New England?
Yeah, I have them at the very end. I didn't.
Okay.
When I was doing it, I completely forgot that they played, and then they're at the very end. So they are on here though. All right, we move on. This is probably one of the most interesting games of the week. The Browns at home up against the Dallas Cowboys this week. This is going to be real interesting. Tom Brady's first game calling. The Browns have their first game as Deshaun Watson is back from injury again. We're going to see what this team can really do. No Nick Chubb this week. He's going to be out for the first 4 weeks, probably longer. The Browns going to be really interesting this year to see what they can do. It's interesting to me because I think Cleveland is one of those teams where, you know, they just got to get everybody healthy and on the right page. And once they do that, they're going to be a really good football team, but they're still not on the right page. You know, they have all the weapons. They added Jerry Jeudy this offseason. So I think the Browns are ready to go. Myles Garrett is obviously a stud. This is Darius Smith on the other side of him. So they got a lot of pieces, the Browns. They just got to get everybody healthy and right. But I do think they win this game this week because I think Dallas is a weak football team. Even though they have CD and Dak, and that's a lot of their offense right there. I'm concerned about who's going to play running back for them. I'm concerned about this whole team in general, in the sense of the fact that, like, I don't know what I'm going to get from Dallas, and we're going to find out this week, and I think we're going to get if I had to take an opinion, I think we're going to get a weak football team on the defensive side and a struggling offensive line trying to figure it out.
Well, I do have a little bit of bad news for you.
What?
Oh, wait, actually, hold on. So on ESPN, it says that CeeDee Lamb will be out for Sunday, but
no, he's playing.
When reading into it, it says the Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy said on Wednesday that CeeDee Lamb, who remains on the reserve/commissioner's exempt list, is building up to play on Sunday.
He's gonna play. He's on my fantasy team. He's freaking playing, man.
We'll see.
Max doesn't want me to curse on this podcast.
I'm taking Cleveland here. I think Dallas has a lot of question marks as how good are they really going to be? Is Dak going to be the Dak that we know he could be, or is he going to be the Dak Prescott of the past, I'm going to say, 2 seasons where he has the ability and he has the talent around him. He just never is able to get over that hump and make it into or deeper into the playoffs. I do think Dallas has the opportunity and they could go out and be a playoff team, maybe sneak into a wild card spot. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they miss the playoffs. Just being straight up that they aren't. A lot of question marks, like you said. They aren't a whole complete team.
Yeah, this isn't the same Dallas team we've seen. Stephon Gilmore also gone too. So, like, this is a Dallas team that has a lot of holes on the roster, and they didn't do anything to fix it. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what Dallas is this year. So, we'll see. That moves on to Tampa Bay going up against the Washington Commanders this week. I think this is a tough game also for Jaden Daniels. No, the first one, he has to go up against Todd Bowles' defense. This is going to be a tough one for him. I don't know how he's going to do. I would say he's going to struggle in this game for the sheer fact that, you know, he is still a rookie. You know, he looked good in the preseason, but that's a preseason, right? So we're going to be able to see what he can do this week. I would say, if I was a betting man, which I am, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. I think they're the complete team. Not a lot of holes, not a lot of roster changes this offseason. So I think this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win this week. As what do you got?
I'm going to stick with the betting man of the two of us, and I'm agreeing Tampa's going to win this. Baker Mayfield back in business, going to kind of come out and probably put it to the rookie. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay actually runs away with this a little bit just because of, like you said, how good their defense can live up to play against an offense that has struggled the past 2 or 3 seasons. Not really sure. Might be a low-scoring game, too. We might have both defenses come out and play very well, but I'm not really going to give any credit to the Commanders on taking the win here. It's going to be all Bucs.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one for the Commanders because the Commanders don't have a very good roster, right? They're still very young, trying to figure things out. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Commanders can do in this game, whether they can compete with Tampa Bay or just kind of fold in this game. So it's going to be a little interesting. As we move on here, Tampa Bay, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Matthew Stafford heads to Detroit to go rematch against the Lions. Ezra, I'm a big fan of the Rams in this game. I like the Rams a lot. I think Matthew Stafford comes back and gets his revenge from the playoff game. They just lost last time. This is the Rams also last year were not a very healthy team. They had Puka out at some point. I think they had Puka out at some point. They had Kupp out definitely for the first 6-7 games. But Puka was able to step up. They had Kyron Williams out for a couple games. So it was just, I feel like, a mismatch of a lot of different guys out. This Rams team's fully healthy, ready to go into week 1. Now, the only other problem I'm worried about in the Rams is I don't know how this interior defensive line is going to play without Aaron Donald, right? Aaron Donald's gone. So it's going to be a little interesting to see what Matthew Stafford can do in this offense, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have great success. If I was, again, a betting man, I think he's going to have great success in this game. But I just worry about their defense, right? Their defense has a lot of holes. They're very young. They've played better last year than they did the year before that, right? When Stafford went out. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the Rams will do in this game. And Detroit's obviously one of the most complete football teams in the NFL. No holes on their roster. Great head coach in Dan Campbell who likes to take risks. I think they're going to be a good football team, right? But I think this one's I think Stafford just wants this one a little bit more.
I'm going to agree with Stafford wanting it a little bit more and the LA Rams coming in and might surprise many people in Detroit, but I'm taking the Detroit Lions.
Boo.
Like you said, is one of the most complete teams in football in Detroit, and they probably should have been in the Super Bowl last year. It slipped away from them a little bit, but I would not be surprised if Detroit can make a long playoff run again. I'm sticking with the Lions. Very, very good team. Great coach in Dan Campbell. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back for another great year, I'm hoping. Jamison Williams, I'm hoping to see some fireworks out of him tonight. And even David Montgomery. We'll see how him and Jahmyr Gibbs play. But overall, I think a much better team than the LA Rams. Even though Puka and Cooper Kupp could go out there and shock the world. With Stafford, Kyron Williams is a very underrated, very good running back. But I'm going to stick with the Lions here.
All right, I like it. As we move on to the Monday night special of Aaron Rodgers, back on Monday night where he was last year, returning up against the 49ers, the NFC champions. This could be really interesting to see what this 49ers team can do. So many question marks over the offseason. What's going on with Ayuk? Bang, he gets signed. What's going on with Ricky Parasol? Bang, he gets shot. What's up with Trent Williams, right? He gets a contract. So many question marks around this 49ers team. Just because of what's happened over this offseason, right? So many different things. And what will Brock Purdy bring in year number 2 as a starting quarterback for the whole year? So it's going to be really interesting to see what this 49ers team can do, right? We know they are super talented, have one of the best minds in football. Of course they do. They have a complete roster with almost no holes on it, maybe a couple holes in the interior offensive line. But I'm not worried about the 49ers right now. No injuries, fully healthy team. I'm going San Francisco. As what you got?
Did you really just say bang, Ricky Pearsall gets shot?
Ezra, I don't think I stuttered when I said that.
Okay. All right. That caught me off guard.
I didn't even talk about the Jets. Let's go talk about the Jets. Go talk about Jets.
Right. The New York Football Jets. They could have one of the best offenses in the league, and I hopefully put could in bold italics and in quotes because it is a huge could. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. It's a bit of a stretch, but whatever. He's top 15, top 20 all time, no matter who you ask.
He's like top 10 all time.
Thank you. Just needed some confirmation to make me feel like I'm going there.
He's definitely top 10 all time. Continue.
It's Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Breece Hall, ton of talent. Garrett Wilson, ton of talent. Even Mike Williams, ton of talent. Their wide receiver 3 is Alan Lazard. This team could go out and absolutely, let me phrase this the right way. They could go out and put up 30 against a very, very good Niners team. This could be a track meet, or it could just be the Jets being the Jets, and San Francisco could run away with it and win by 15 or 20. With that being said, I'm going to take San Francisco being it's in San Fran. I don't think the Jets will be able to keep up with how complete the Niners team is, especially coming off a Super Bowl loss. They are not very happy with losing again to Patrick Mahomes. The Jets have to go out there and prove they are a solid squad. They have to go out and prove that, hey, we as a team might go out and challenge Buffalo. We won our division. You know what I mean? Do I think they have the talent level on a team? Yes. Do I think they'll be able to do it? No. But we're going to see, and I think it's going to be a very unique year for the Jets. Hopefully above 500, to say the least.
Alrighty. All right. Let's one last thing, Ez. I just want to get your pick here, Cincinnati and New England. What's your pick, Ez?
This is my lock of the week in Cincinnati. Really don't even have to talk about it. The poor Patriots might be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I wasn't going to spend much time on this game at all either. The Cincinnati Bengals will win this game.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's not a horrible starting QB, but definitely a bottom 10 starting quarterback in the league. You look at their offense. I mean, their wide receiver one is Demario Douglas.
Yeah, no,
there are there he might have to compete to be wide receiver 3.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots, what will bring this year for the New England Patriots. So, they're a team with a lot of holes. Bengals are a very, very experienced team, so I'm going to take the Bengals here as my lock. Ez, you got anything else before we wrap this up today?
No, I do not have anything else.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Anytime. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, guys. We are, we keep on moving throughout this NFL season. So this is just week 1. Hopefully the other guys will show up next week. They all went away and they all had other plans. They didn't make this a priority in their life, and that's perfectly okay. Ezra did. So I appreciate Ezra for coming on. Thank you. And we will see you guys next time.